At the beginning of New Vegas, whenever the player wakes up in Doc Mitchell's house, they are quickly taken through the character creator where they can then fine-tune exactly how they want their character to play by assigning their special stats and tag skills. But the tag skills do more than just affect what your character will be skilled with early in the game, as they also determine what weapons and items you will start with. One of these weapons is the Straight Razor, which is widely regarded as one of the absolute worst weapons in the game due to low damage and durability. So, normally, you would look to replace it with a better weapon as soon as possible. But what if for some reason you were stuck with it throughout the whole game with no means to unequip it? Well, that's what today's video is about, as I aim to find out, can you beat Fallout New Vegas with only the Straight Razor? Things are relatively normal for once during the character creator. No real hideous abominations this time. For my special stats, I essentially just drain Perception and Charisma, as they will both be useless for this run, and just assign the rest of the points around Strength, Intelligence, and Luck. Strength and Intelligence are pretty obvious, and Luck is just my preferred stat, as it's great for extra critical chance in just about any build, and as a nice bonus, it makes earning caps later in the game a non-issue. As mentioned before, tag skills are especially important this time around, as picking melee weapons lets me start the game with a Straight Razor. My other two tag skills were Medicine and Barter, just to help with medical supplies throughout the run. Finally, for traits, I took Skilled for an extra 5 points in each skill right away, and Wild Wasteland because who wouldn't? When I finally get our weapon of choice, it's in a pretty poor condition and with no real way to repair it as of yet in Goodsprings. I do have 4 weapon repair kits from the Courier Stash DLC, but I'm keeping them for emergency situations, like if I'm in a fight with no way to repair my razor and it's about to break. Now, sometimes Chet will sell Straight Razors, but as of right now he's fresh out, so instead I sell everything I don't need and use the caps to buy as many stim packs as I can. I've also noticed that the people of Goodsprings seem to be lacking any barbers around the town. Therefore, being the model citizen that I am, I take it upon myself to give everyone in the saloon a haircut, free of charge. Seemingly not impressed by my hairdressing skills, I left the saloon and let Joe Cobb and his merry band of misfits take over the town. Not like that was much of an accomplishment, however, as the only person who was there to defend the town was Doc Mitchell. After that was over with, it was off to Prim. Nothing of worth happened on the way there, other than this weird dog that I scalped. I decided to help save the deputy, as any experience is good experience, plus I wanted to see how effective the razor was in an actual fight. Honestly, against the light or unarmoured convicts, it works pretty well. The extra crit chance and damage works well with the 10 points I put in luck at the start of the game. The escaped convict leader could have proven difficult, but this game has Bethesda on the front of the box, so his pathfinding glitch and he got stuck on this couch and just ran in place while I slashed him to death. Well, with the convicts out of the way and Beagle rescued, it was time to find a new sheriff for Prim. There's only one real candidate here that is suited for the job that won't cause the town to be run into shambles. Good luck on the promotion, Slim. Yeah! With the town now in good hands, I began heading towards Mojave Outpost, as Major Knight there can fully repair any weapon. So he is going to be pretty important if I can't find any other razors for a while. On the way, I nearly snapped my razor over the head of a rad scorpion, before realising I was in the wrong neighbourhood when all of his friends practically jumped me. I then began running for my life and into the loving arms of the NCR. Luckily, it only costs 29 caps to fully repair my weapon, so needless to say, I think I will be fine in terms of money for a while. Continuing the path I'm currently on has me arriving in Nipton, where I promptly slit the throat of Oliver Swanwick, as I've went too many playthroughs recently where I haven't killed him. The real reason I'm here is to do a quick mission for Vault Base, as I was planning to side with the Legion this time, as it's something I've never done, even just in my own casual playthroughs in the past. I usually side with House. If anyone is curious, that'll be the next video. Well, turns out this quest is just me fast travelling back to the Mojave Outpost and telling this guy about Nipton. Was hoping for something a bit more, but this is fine for some easy experience, I suppose. Before I left, I got a little close for comfort with Malcolm Holmes, if I'm being honest. I didn't feel like taking the road to Novak yet, so I went back to Goodsprings with the idea to take the shortcut and actually take the monorail to the Strip this time. On my way there, I decided to mark Hidden Valley on my map, as I would be blowing it up later, so this will save time. I also watched a scorpion get swallowed by the earth as I arrived, which is always an issue around these parts it seems. First attempt through the valley went pretty poorly when the Deathclaw decided to reenact his favourite scene from The Lion King.
Long live the king.
Second attempt, and I decided to take a different path near a dead NCR soldier, which also lets me get a uniform to use the monorail, meaning I don't have to worry about trying to take out an NCR soldier outside of Camp McCarran. I learned about this thanks to Aaron Kendrick. Thanks a lot, man, you really saved me a lot of time for getting into the Strip. Well, now dressed as an NCR soldier, I navigate my way to safety and towards Camp McCarran and get ready to board the monorail when the game predictably crashes. Excellent. Trying again, and this time the game doesn't crash, and I'm able to get onto the Strip and head straight for Benny. One great thing about the Straight Razor is that it's a holdout weapon, meaning I can take it into just about any restricted area in the game. Upon just merely looking at Benny, I level up and I'm able to max out my melee weapons, meaning that I am now going to be doing as much damage as I physically can this run. I begin talking to Benny as I tower over him and agree to meet him up in the suite. My original idea behind this was that his guards that attack you up there all have Straight Razors, and therefore I could use them for repairs. But turns out those guards are the same ones that are following him around the moment, so I make the bold decision to just kill everyone in the tops. And wouldn't you know it, it went surprisingly well. This is probably due to the fact that Benny just casually stood there and watched as I killed all of his bodyguards right before his eyes, and then let me wheel away on him without even trying to fight back. With the tops now painted head to toe in blood and hair clippings, I make my way outside where I leveled up and took the Bloody Mess perk because any extra damage is good damage. I then thought since I'm in the immediate area I may as well stab Mr. House. Not wanting to sit through the glorified unskippable cutscene, I opted to just ignore House and make my way straight to the control room, where I would most certainly have died if not for all the stims I've been hoarding so far. Anyway, House dies before even getting a chance to say anything, and I begin to make my way to Cottonwood Cove before the game inevitably crashes again. Oh, never mind, there it is. On the way there, I murdered a random prospector for the prospect of having a new hat to wear. I also interrupted this ghoul who may have been in the middle of his village people interpretation. Arriving at Cottonwood Cove has me take the boat to the fort, where for once in my life I talk to Caesar with my words and not my fist. This leads me to heading down into the bunker where I am repeatedly ripped to absolute shreds by turrets. The Protectrons are easy enough when fighting one at a time, but even trying to fight the turrets is a bad idea as the resulting explosion from their deaths causes a decent amount of damage to me. Whenever I manage to run past and get to the generator room, I'm faced with another problem. For some reason, the straight razor can't be used to blow up the generators. I mean, I probably shouldn't be shocked that a piece of shaving equipment can't be used to destroy multiple metal generators, but I digress. So I made the decision that as far as I'm aware, these generators are not alive, therefore it is okay to use this plasma rifle I found earlier to blow them up. I did make sure to destroy all the nearby Protectons first so that the generators exploding wouldn't hurt them. On the way out I briefly, and I mean briefly, considered trying to fight one of the Securitrons, but I'm not that crazy, so I just dipped and made my way back to Caesar. Upon reporting back, I get a weird sense of deja vu as I'm told to go enlist the aid of the boomers just like I did with the NCR last time. I also level up here and take the hilariously amazing Super Slam perk that gives every melee weapon a chance to knock down a target, which will be great for when I eventually have to fight multiple enemies at once in close quarters. I nearly didn't make it through the boomers' bombardment because I took a different route for a change, but they were nice enough to give me a little push to just help speed me along. Once again I'm deciding to help the boomers, so this time I prepared appropriately by having the right number of points in medicine and repair, so I could quickly heal up the injured boomers and more importantly, so I wouldn't have to go all the way to Helios 1, due to it being so far away, and also the fact that at this point the NCR is liable to shoot me on sight. The semi-exploding ants weren't an issue, mainly thanks to the Super Slam perk I just mentioned, as they can't fight back when they are being tossed around like ragdolls. That said, by this point I was running low on stim packs, and since Doc Mitchell is now somewhere beneath Goodspring Cemetery, I had to rely on Chet for healing supplies, and he is less than adequate, as more often than not I'm waiting around for multiple days at a time for maybe 2 or 3 stim packs. On my way to raise the bomber for the boomers, I instead got sidetracked when I realised I was fairly close to 188 Trading Post, so I put the boomer's quest on hold momentarily while I picked up Veronica and brought her back to the Hidden Valley, so that she could be an unknowing accomplice in the murder of her friends and family. As soon as she let me inside, and I was sure they weren't going to put a slave collar on my neck, I dismissed her because she isn't a straight razor and made my way down to the lower levels to start stealing some keycards. Well, simply put, that wasn't going to work, as my sneak skill is far too low to reliably steal all 3 cards, so instead I stealth killed Head Scribe Taggart for his card and then made my way to Hardin and began chipping away at him as well. I got lucky in that he missed most of his shots and took him down rather easily. This is where the stim packs came in handy however, as I was immediately attacked by the Elder as well as 2 more Brotherhood Paladins. Thankfully the Elder is easy enough as those robes protect him from jack squat, and I had enough healing supplies to survive the fight with the Paladins. Now I just made a quick dash for the self-destruct console as usual, and then immediately left without paying any mind to the increasingly aggressive Tin Men following me. With the Brotherhood now out of the picture a lot sooner than they needed to be, I got back on track to raise the bomber from the lake, this time making sure to take a different path as to not deal with the Brain Blast crabs. I informed Pearl of a job well done and that now she works for the Legion, which is honestly no different than when you side with the NCR. I thought there would have been a slightly different dialogue, but it seems not. No matter, I fast traveled back to the fort to get my next mission from Caesar, which is to strike up an alliance with the White Gloves, which went about as well as you would think. Needless to say, he isn't best pleased with my form of diplomacy, and goes to give me my next assignment, but seems to have a rather difficult time of figuring out exactly what that is. Well, after the man's finished rebooting, I inform him that he most likely has a brain tumor, but that's okay because I can fix it. So one quick trip to the doctor's office for some surgical supplies later, and it's time for me to become a brain surgeon. If I hadn't killed Caesar in just about every other playthrough I've ever done, I probably would have intentionally messed up the surgery, but for once, I wanted to see what happens if he is alive by the end of the game. He congratulates me for my efforts and gives me the best task a soldier could ask for. I'm going to go assassinate the president. Please don't use that clip out of context. On the way to our regularly scheduled international incident, I make a quick stop in Boulder City to help out the Great Khans, as I was under the impression that I would need to meet them, but apparently that's not the case when siding with the Legion. Whatever, they still got all sliced to bits in the end. After that, I meet up with Kato, who is meant to be helping me with the assassination, but he really doesn't do much other than give you a bomb for the vertibird if your explosive skill's high enough. First attempt, and I had planned to just offer the president a free one back and sides, but the sheer number of nearby soldiers and rangers rather abruptly put a stop to that plan. Second time around, I played a bit smarter and rewired this console so that the gun the president is standing in front of will malfunction and explode, meaning I won't have to fight the entire military might of California with a razor blade. Needless to say, it went much better. No clue what happened to Kato though, as he just ran inside the Hoover Dam offices as soon as it happened, so he is probably dead now. With that, it was now time for the attack on Hoover Dam once again, but this time I left the fort to go get as prepared as I physically could. First off, I went to the boomers to get as many medical supplies as I could afford, which was a lot more than Chet was ever going to be able to offer me at this point. I then slapped on my NCR uniform and made my way to Mojave Outpost, and had Major Knight fully repair all 6 straight razors I had been carrying with me. All the while completely unaware that these 6 razors are about to topple the government he works for. Once again at the end point, I gotta say it's awfully surreal to be starting at Leggett's camp and make my way back through where I'd normally come from in every other one of my playthroughs. The NCR on the top of the dam really do not put up much of a fight, especially when I'm able to knock them down with Super Slam so frequently. I made things even easier for myself outside when I opened the way for the Legion in the sewers, as well as taking out the snipers in the watchtowers. The first part inside wasn't too tasking either. Turns out when you have a dozen crazy men with swords and sledgehammers by you per said, anything is possible. I need to go back to school. This all changed however when I reached Oliver's compound. The soldiers in here aren't much tougher than the ones that were outside. There's just a lot more of them. I was able to take out the first wave when I got them stuck inside a bathroom where I could take them on one at a time. It was the second floor where things took a bit of a turn, as the room is filled with tripwires, explosives, and all other manners of traps, as well as 2 rangers, one with a .44 Magnum and another with an anti-material rifle. On most attempts, I was able to take out the one with the Magnum easy enough, as any healing supplies I may have used didn't matter, as he had a lot of super stim packs on him that I could just take afterwards. As for the one with the rifle, most times I just ran past him if I could, but even if I did, it didn't matter all that much, because while Oliver is a complete pushover due to his lack of armor, the heavy troopers that are with him with the super sledges are a different beast altogether. The heavy troops with the guns were okay to deal with, as once they were knocked down it was basically over for them, but since the others had melee weapons, they just more often than not blocked my attacks and then would gang up on me and finish the job. Eventually I got a lucky enough attempt in which I killed both of the rangers on the second floor without using all that many stims, and then could take the ones that they dropped for the fight with the heavy troops. I then made a run for Oliver and killed him again first, as usual, to get him out of the way, and then began trying to focus on the troopers with guns, because if they died first, usually the troopers with the super sledges would then take their guns and use them instead, which would then in turn make them easier to kill. I was so insanely lucky during this try, as I was almost constantly knocking the troopers down as well as landing critical hits. I also made sure that as soon as one was dead that I would take his armor and wear it, as by this point the leather armor that I was wearing had basically turned into dust. Through persistence, and let's not kid ourselves, 10 points in luck, I was able to defeat all of the heavy troopers and make my way back outside the Lanius, finishing the game and proving that yes, you can indeed beat Fallout New Vegas with only a straight razor. Okay, so that ending segment was way more difficult than I thought it would ever be, but I guess that's to be expected when you're using a melee weapon against people who are able to block just about everything you throw at them. Also, in case anyone is wondering, I do know about the legendary straight razor you can get from one of the kings, but I decided against using it as it does 4 times normal crit damage, and I thought that would make things far too easy, as the idea of most of these weapon challenges is that they're meant to be difficult. Regardless, that's going to be the end of this challenge video. If you enjoyed what you saw, consider giving the video a like, and if you're interested in more challenges in the future, feel free to subscribe as I try to have one of these videos out every week. My name's Nerbit, stay safe everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video.